Greetings, Otaku faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. And just because it's so late at night right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold off of the OAW call. But thanks for joining me again this week for yet again another movie review segment right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. Now, I just got back from the midnight release of Captain America, the First Avenger. And I must say that I was surprised and impressed with this film. I actually was. For the most part, the film did meet my expectations, but in a few areas, it really did exceed my expectations. So pretty much what I'm going to do is, I think for the most part, I'm going to do this review non-spoiler, because I actually do recommend this film. I really recommend this film, especially for fans of the comic book series. So, with that said, let's get into the review. Now, brief synopsis of what the movie's about. The movie is pretty straightforward from the trailers or any articles that you might have read, but the film pretty much chronicles the adventures of Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, as he serves in the U.S. forces during World War II, battling the Nazis and their deep research division, Hydra. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead, I think that's a brief enough summary. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the acting, which is what surprised me in this film. Number one, Chris Evans. I have said numerous times, and you guys can actually back reference some of my older videos where I said I wasn't going to see Captain America. And the reason for that is because they cast Chris Evans for the lead. Chris Evans, if you all don't know, Chris Evans portrayed another Marvel superhero in two previous films, those being the Fantastic Four franchise. And while he was probably the best thing about those films, Chris Evans is notorious for playing the funny guy role. To go back to another one of his previous films, The Losers, which is based off of a DC Vertical comic, the role that he had in that film, that character, same thing. The comic relief, the funny guy. And I can't help but compare him to another actor in Hollywood who has the same stigma, and that is Ryan Reynolds. Okay? Both of these actors have been in previous comic book inspired films. Like I said, Chris Evans, Fantastic Four series, The Losers. Ryan Reynolds, he was in Blade 3. You know, both of them have that fucking stigma of they just gotta be the funny guy. Now, this is when my fears really got serious, because I had a feeling, I called this about Ryan Reynolds a long fucking time ago when I first found out that he was going to be Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern movie. I knew then that that movie was going to be shit. Why? Because Ryan Reynolds was going to act like Ryan Reynolds and not Hal Jordan. And after hearing about Green Lantern bombing the way it did, my fears were just reassured, because everyone I talked to, that's what they said. They said, no, he made Hal Jordan too funny, and they had all this fucking slapstick humor and all that dumb shit. So I was almost positive that the same thing was going to happen with Chris Evans and Captain America, and I did not want to fucking see it. What changed my mind was two things. Number one, let's face it, Marvel Studios, as far as the Marvel Studio films, I'm talking about Iron Man 1 and 2, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, and now Captain America. Out of those five from Marvel Studios, they haven't really made a bad one. Now, granted, I did not enjoy Iron Man 2 nearly as much as I did Iron Man 1. And Thor, I thought Thor was good, but once again, it could have been a hell of a lot better. With that said, none of those films are necessarily bad. So I thought, okay, well, let me go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because I mean, they did come out with 4 good films, but there was another thing that changed my mind, and it was the Avengers trailer that was leaked online earlier this week, courtesy of San Diego Comic-Con. And just in that small scene, I saw Chris Evans as Captain America. And after seeing that scene, I thought, well, shit, if based off of this trailer, it's like he seems to have the Cap down. So who knows? Maybe he'll do the role justice. Let me go ahead and tell you, Chris Evans does Cap justice. Chris Evans did not act like Chris Evans. He acted like Steve Rogers. And I applaud Chris Evans for that. I honestly, now I can take Chris Evans more seriously as an actor, because it seems like he really was concerned with nailing that character in this film. And besides, from previous interviews that I've read about him, that was his thing. He really wanted to get Cap right. And I think for the most part, probably for about 95 to 98% of the time, he had Cap on the money. And I really did enjoy that about him. Also, a few other actors worth mentioning that did a stand-up job. Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones, the second I found out he was going to be in this film, I knew exactly what type of character he was playing. And I knew exactly what role, that would be. And he did that. See, that was one of the areas where I expected, and it was met. So, can't complain about Tommy Lee Jones. Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, pretty good, to see a young Howard Stark. I think he did a good job at displaying what, like seeing Howard young, you could see like Tony Stark. You see what I'm saying? And I think Dominic Cooper did a good job at portraying that, because we knew it was Howard Stark, and you could tell it was Howard Stark, but you could see that little trace of Tony in Howard. So it was cool. Neil McDonough as Dum Dum Duncan, good job. I was actually surprised to see him in this film, because I didn't know he was going to be in there. Derek Luke, Gabe Jones, he did a good job. Stanley Tucci, spot on, man. Damn. Well, I've always been a fan of Stanley Tucci, or Touche, however you pronounce it. I've always been a fan of his, and I thought he did a good job. Hayley Atwell as Peggy Carter, pretty good. I did have a few issues, but it wasn't with the acting, it was with the character. Because last time I checked, women weren't allowed to serve in the U.S. military during World War II. I could be wrong about that, but like I said, I've never heard of any women serving in World War II on the battlefield. Never. So having her as a soldier, well, I mean, she was an agent for the research department. But with that said, last time, and she was the only woman there. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, that didn't make any sense to me. But let's face it, how else could she have been portrayed? The reporter thing has been done to death. The nurse thing has been done to death. So while her character's placement in the war didn't make sense to me, it was a nice reprieve. Because like I said, the reporter and the nurse thing has been done to death. Sebastian Stan as Bucky was one of the performances that I really did enjoy in this film. And not to give anything away, but Bucky should have got more screen time, man. Man, I dug him as Bucky. He was fucking cool. Now we're getting to the acting that I honestly was disappointed in. And that was Hugo Weaving as Red Skull. Because Hugo Weaving is such a good actor, and I know for a fact he can play a damn good villain. You've seen him do it before, you know, Agent Smith. You know he can play a villain. But I couldn't help but think that Hugo Weaving was on the chain in this film. Like, I couldn't help but think it's like, no, he's not acting. See, this is probably the time when I didn't want Hugo Weaving acting. I didn't want Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. I wanted Hugo Weaving as Hugo Weaving. Because I couldn't help but think it's like, why are y'all restricting him? Y'all need to let Hugo Weaving off the chain so that he can really bring out the performance of the Red Skull. And it didn't happen. I couldn't help but think that this role, he was reserved. And it's like, no, you don't reserve someone like Hugo Weaving. You let that motherfucker off the chain. And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. But, come see, come sa. But, okay, so the writing and the dialogue in this film was, it was pretty good. My only complaint about the writing in this film is the fact that the entire Captain America story gets wrapped up in this film. And I was kind of hoping that it would have ended with, you know, us seeing, you know, like Cap and Buggy go on to more adventures. Now, I know that they already said that the next Captain America film, not the Avengers film, I'm talking about the next Captain America, is going to be in present day. So I kind of expected that they wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't be another period piece. But the fact that they wrapped up the whole story in one film kind of, it kind of let me down a little bit. Because it's like I said, you know, I would have liked to see some more, you know, Captain America Red Skull, you know. But who knows, you know. Also, the way that they handled the time lapse, there's a montage in this film that was really good. I really did enjoy the montage. It was really good. Yeah, it was nice. Now, well, that's my timer. Let me check. Okay, we're not at 15 yet, so let me run through the rest of this. The cinematography, for the most part, was really good. You know, the cinematography, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw the CGI into this segment of the review also, because the thing I liked, okay, the cinematography, like I said, it was pretty good, because the style that they use in this film, you know, it's supposed to be a period piece, and the cinematography they use kind of, you know, got that point across. You know, it exuded the, if that is the correct term, I'm sorry. But it really did accentuate the theme, you know, the time and the theme of the film. So that was really cool. But one thing I really want to talk about that I really did enjoy in this film is the scenes in New York, in Brooklyn, and keep in mind, this is during World War II, were spot on. Because when I was watching it, I was thinking, that looks just like out of The Godfather. Like, that, wow, that's really loud. Thank you, Ozzy. I love your song, but goddamn, you're in my ear. But yeah, the scenes in New York, especially the scene, small spoiler, the scene in which Steve is chasing the Hydra agent through the streets of New York, it looked like it was straight out of The Godfather. And I like that, because that means that they actually did their research and there's a little bit of authenticity in that. The landscape, the signs, the little booths off the street, the pier, it looked like it did in The Godfather. And I love that. I was like, man, they did their homework for this film. You know, it looks like 1940s New York. So I really did like that. And as far as the CGI, my only complaint about the CGI is some of Steve Rogers' CGI, you know, with him, you know, his jumps, you know, him running, some of that, some of it was kind of, some of it you could tell easily that it was CGI. I don't think that they cloaked it as well as they could have. If you want a good example of what I'm talking about, please check out the first Spider-Man film, the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Spider-Man 1. This motherfucker. Okay, check out this because they were able to mask the CGI really well. Like, there are scenes in this film where for a second you can't tell if it's CGI or if it's really Tobey Maguire. And like I said, it was kind of obvious. But that's my only complaint about the CGI. Everything else was pretty good. My second complaint about the CGI would probably be the fact that they used it for a lot of their sets. Me personally, I would have preferred a lot more, you know, actually build sets. They use CGI in a lot of their sets, in almost all of them. I just wanted to, you know, see some more man-built sets. Now, the music, I think, I'm trying to pronounce his name. It's Alan Silvestri, I think that's how you pronounce it. He does the music for this film, and it was good. It was good. Like, I was trying to figure out who did the music because, you know, I knew it wasn't Hans Zimmer or Danny Elfman or anything. So I'm like, well, who did the music for this? And they said it at the end. I was like, oh, wow, he does really good music. And this film is no exception. The music was pretty good. Okay, I guess right before I get into my rating, to wrap up this film, I'm going to go ahead and get into kind of like my likes and dislikes. And this is going to be a brief spoiler, not anything big, but brief spoiler. And that is, I guess what I really liked about this film was that we finally got a genuine superhero movie. And when I say a genuine superhero movie, this is what I mean. We didn't get a film about a character who has a dark... Sorry. It's reminding me that, you know, I'm hitting my time. But we didn't get a film about a character who has a dark past, or who has a dark secret, or an edgy personality, or emo tendencies. We didn't get a film about a character who's an anti-hero, who you know, he does bad things but for good reasons. You know, we didn't get this bullshit that they try pulling with the Incredible Hulk nowadays, where every fucking Hulk story he has to be a fucking anti-hero. You know, I actually remember the days when the Hulk was a black and white, cut and dry fucking superhero, okay? We didn't get the Punisher. We didn't get Bruce Wayne, Batman. We didn't get Tony Stark with his drinking problem. Batman with his daddy, with his parents' issues. You know, Tony with his daddy issues. We didn't get that shit. What we got was an average Joe, a little guy from Brooklyn who wanted to serve his country. A scientist saw the potential in him, chose him for the program, got the super serum, became the super soldier, and kicked ass. That's what we got. We didn't get a womanizer. We didn't get a drinker. We didn't get someone, you know, plagued with depression. And, you know, there is a scene when, you know, you can see that a loss is, you know, affecting Steve, and, you know, he tries drinking, but he finds out that, hey, you know, I can't get drunk. My metabolism burns alcohol too fast. You know, we did get that scene, but we didn't get, you know, I'm so torn by the loss of this person. We didn't get that shit. We didn't get all this, oh, this character has to be dark and edgy. No, we got Steve motherfucking Rogers. We got Captain motherfucking America, and sweet fucking Jesus. We needed Captain fucking America. I'm sorry, but it's getting to the point now where I'm really starting to get sick of all these dark and edgy superhero movies. Even the stories in the comics, all the comics nowadays, it has to be dark and edgy. And I'm tired of this shit. It's like nowadays, you can't just have an honest, wholesome, good fucking superhero. You know, people, a few of my friends make fun of me for liking Superman so much. There's a reason why I like Superman. Because he doesn't have to deal with the dark and edgy issues. And every time they try to make him dark and edgy, it blows up in their face, because that's not who Superman is. Captain America is no fucking different. There are a few stories in the comics where it's like Captain America is haunted by the deaths of all the people that he fought alongside in World War II. You can go ahead and reference the season 1 finale of the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon to see what I'm talking about. But that's not in this film. And I fucking love that. We don't need that all the fucking time. We need a fucking hero, okay? We need the everyman. We need Joe fucking Schmo off the street to man a fucking post and to kick ass and take fucking names. And that's what Steve fucking Rogers does. That's why he's the motherfucking Cap, okay? He's not the Batman. He's not Iron Man. He's not the Punisher. He's not the Incredible Hulk, okay? He's the fucking Cap. He's Captain motherfucking America, and you best damn well respect Captain motherfucking America. Thank you, sweet Jesus, that we got an honest Captain fucking America movie, okay? Now, you could say that I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but you don't understand. I've been waiting for this movie since 2000, since the first X-Men movie came out. I shit you not. 10 years old, I still remember walking out of the theater after seeing the first X-Men film, and I said, damn, I can't wait until they do Captain America. I remember saying it, because I remember hearing myself say it. I was like, I can't wait until they do Captain America. And I gotta say, for the most part, it was worth the wait. It really was, especially since it's going to lead up into the Avengers tie-in. It was worth the wait, okay? Okay, yeah, now I'm pushing. Yeah, I just went over 20 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. But dislikes about the film. Like I said, Red Skull was put on a leash, in my opinion. Well, Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving was put on a leash, in my opinion. I don't think he got the freedom to, you know, really do the role the way he wanted to do it. A few little discrepancies about the time period that kind of confused me a little bit. That didn't really make sense. Because believe it or not, some of my viewers know this. A lot of you don't, but I'm a big history buff. So, you know, few things, but nothing really to bitch or complain about. You know, just a few things that I could be wrong on. I'd have to go back and, you know, look up this shit. But, oh, the musical number that's in this film. I know why it's in the film, but I question whether or not it was necessary. Because, like I said, I'm not going to give away the spoiler, but pretty much the musical number in this film is used to help promote Captain America. And I can't help but think that there were other ways that you could have done that. For an example, how about we write some articles about him while he's doing all this heroic shit? And hey, how about you throw in the headlines during the montage? I think that would have gotten the point across. Just saying. And that also, I mean, I'm just speaking from a fan's perspective, but that also, you know, like I mentioned, you know, that I couldn't help but draw the little Godfather, you know, the whole 1940s New York City. You know, I referenced The Godfather for the scenery, but that also would have been a nice little throwback to the film, because anyone who's seen The Godfather know that there's a montage during a time lapse, and they show the headlines of all these articles in the montage. That, me personally, like I say, I could just be speaking from a fan's perspective, but that would have been a nice little throwback. I know the films are completely, the only thing that these films have in common is the time in which they take place. But that would have been a nice little, ooh, that's kind of cool thing, you know? But other than that, I mean, I will go ahead and say that it is probably, you know what? I'll go ahead and say it's the best superhero film of the summer. I will even give it a leg up over X-Men First Class, because one thing that this film had, well, one thing that this film didn't have that X-Men First Class had and that Thor had, and I think that Green Lantern had also, was useless characters. This film did not have useless characters. Every character, for the most part, had a specific role, and they had a specific purpose in the story. Well, no matter how big or how small the role was, they served a specific purpose. They weren't just thrown in there for the sake of being in there, which was a big problem I had with Thor, was the fact that some of the characters in Thor I felt were just in there to be in there. And I can say the same thing about a few of the characters in X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class doesn't have a lot of them. It has a few characters that I felt the movie could have done without. But for the most part, Captain America did not have this problem. So, yeah, I will go ahead and say it's the best comic book film of the summer. And I'm hyped for Avengers. I am, because when I saw Iron Man and I saw, you know, the post-credit scene for that, I got bucked. When I saw the post-credit scene for the Incredible Hulk, I went apeshit. Iron Man 2, Thor, you see what I'm saying? So my hype level had been fucked with. It had been tampered with. Captain America restored my hype level back to where it was. Like, now I'm pumped up, especially since they've moved the Avengers up to May of next year. Because if any of you guys who had been following up with the Avengers, you know, throughout its development, the Avengers was originally slated for July of 2012, and that's because originally Iron Man 3 was slated for May of 2012, but because Iron Man 3 is looking for a new director, it got, you know, sidelined, so they pushed the Avengers up to May of next year, which is cool because that's going to kick off the movie, you know, the movie season for next year, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, now the Avengers teaser trailer, if you haven't seen it yet, that is a fucking teaser trailer. I'm not throwing out any names. Warner Brothers, Dark Knight Rises, but that's how you do a teaser trailer. That trailer has me pumped for the fucking Avengers. So, with that said, my final stamp of approval, final rating, 5 out of 5 stars. I just really like this film. Another thing I like about this film that I you know, when I put a high rating on a film, a lot of times I will give a film the full 5 stars if it has this capability, and that is rewatchability. I could see when Captain America comes out on DVD, I can see myself watching that film like a lot. A film if a film is in, you know, my top favorite, you know, if I think a film is really good, that means it has, you know, a lot of watchability. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said that films have been good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have a lot, you know, rewatchability. for an example, The Adjustment Bureau was a good movie, but I don't see myself watching that a lot. Examples of films that do have a lot of rewatchability, in my opinion. The Fighter, seen that film hundreds of fucking, well, no, I've seen it like 12 times. You know, the new True Grit, Limitless. You know, those are films that I can, well, I've already watched them multiple times over. But, okay, so yeah, I just crossed 30 minutes, so yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. But, like I said, 5 out of 5 stars, best superhero film of the summer. And I will even go ahead and say that while I haven't, you know, it's not like I went, you know, I've been going to the movies week after week, but out of the films that I've reviewed that's been released this summer, Captain America is probably like, it's fighting for like second. Because I think Super 8, I think Super 8's the best film of the summer. But I saw Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2 last week, and I saw Captain America this week. And Cap and Harry are going at it for that number 2 spot, best film of the summer for me. Second best film of the summer. Cap and Harry they're going at it. So, but with that said, I'm going to go ahead, wrap up this review. Thanks for joining me again this week. Once again, remind you guys, Facebook, Twitter, Blog TV, links are on the YouTube channel, both in the side panel, the About Me box, and also on the image map on the channel banner. Later this weekend, I kick off my favorite hero and my favorite villain video segments, and I wrap up this week's vid with a very important update/announcement video that you all will want to check out. So, other than that, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and I'll catch you cats later. Peace.